Posted BYU/federal_elderberry47. AITA for not buying my GF a car? TL, DR, GF is a bad driver and totaled her car, now she wants me to buy her a very expensive car. Throwaway account, GF knows my Reddit handle. My, 30M, GF, 25F, wrecked and totaled her car last week, no injuries thankfully. She is a notoriously bad driver. She's been driving since she was 16 and this is the third car that she's totaled, found at fault for all three, and been involved with multiple other minor accidents. A couple of days ago we left to take her to the dealership so that she can get another car and directs me to drive her to the Porsche dealership as she's scheduled to test drive a brand new 2021 Porsche convertible. LOL. What? That's an obvious joke, right? She tells me she's dead serious. She was just totaled an older model Kia Rio, why the sudden upgrade to a $200,000 car? I don't even drive a car that nice. An argument ensued from there. I ask how she's planning on paying for that. She's a waitress at a very high-end restaurant with big clientele, so she's paid well, but business has been slow the last few months due to COVID. She says obviously with my job we'd be able to afford it no problem. While it's true that it wouldn't break the bank, I told her I might as well light the money on fire with the way that she drives. I suggested she get a used non-luxury brand and that if she can go a few years without an accident maybe then get the luxury car. A little more back and forth and neither of us feel like getting a car anymore, so we go back home. It's now been 3 days since the argument and she's been sleeping in the spare bedroom and barely talking to me. The friends we have in our group chat are split and some believe I'm the asshole and some believe GF is. So Reddit, what's your verdict? Posted BYU/throwmeaway37463. AITA for overreacting when my mom tried to endanger my health. Throwaway for anonymity. The incident that really upset me happened a month or so ago. I, 16F, had been getting really dry skin around my eyes, and kind of looked like a panda as the area was red. I told my parents about it, and they asked me not to wear any eye makeup for a week or so to see if something was irritating it, as it wasn't painful. Sure, makes sense. A few days after, I asked my mom if she had any heavier moisturizer I could use, as I know she uses some. She told me my dad had got moisturizer from the doctor for eczema on his leg and that it wasn't prescription, just something you could pick up at the shops if you knew what you were looking for. I agreed to try it, so she passed me a box. It had a prescription label on it. Immediately I was confused, so again asked her what it was, but she just told me to stop being dramatic and just use it. I open the box and it does just look like a tube of moisturizer, but I read the little slip that comes with it. Do not use near or on the eyes. Can cause cataracts. I refused, saying it wasn't for the eyes. I was again told I was being dramatic, and my mom asked my sister for her opinion and she agreed with my mom. I just refused and went downstairs, saying labels are there for a reason, etc., etc. I told my dad about it when I went downstairs. Turns out that tube wasn't moisturizer, it was steroid cream. So, pretty awful to put on your eyes. He was pretty shocked to say the least. My mom still refuses to admit she did anything wrong at all, saying I was being ungrateful as it would have worked just fine, and making a big deal out of nothing. I'm so confused, because I thought that would be kind of a big deal. AITA for reacting this way? Posted BYU/Holiday Ambassador 7. AITA for bringing up that my stepdaughter is adopted in a fight about money. My husband was previously married to a woman who was physically unable to have children, so they adopted my stepdaughter when she was 9 months old. I didn't meet her until she was 19, and thank God, because I don't think I would have been able to deal with her. She is incredibly spoiled. When we moved we had to get rid of all of her childhood things because he just shoved them in a room instead of actually going through them, and she had 9 American Girl dolls, and an entire room just filled with toys. She had 2 horses growing up, He paid for her school all through her PhD, paid for her wedding, bought her a house. I have a 21-year-old daughter and my husband is very nice to her, but he doesn't seem interested in any financial responsibility. My ex and I paid for her college, but she didn't get to go to a fancy school like her stepsister did, and he never offered to help though he makes great money. My daughter was interested in a study abroad, but my ex couldn't afford it, and my husband didn't offer though his daughter has a PhD in history and he funded educational trips to Europe every summer throughout college and grad school. My sister was over the other day and made a joke about why don't I quit my job, isn't that the point of being married to a rich man? I said maybe after daughter's name gets married, because I know he isn't going to pay for the wedding. This prompted a fight when she left, and he said he doesn't owe my daughter anything because she isn't his child. I said stepdaughter's name isn't really your child either, and he stormed out of the house. I feel like I went too far, but I am so sick of my daughter watching her stepsister have everything handed to her. Posted BYU/Blesh Uploak. AITA for refusing to fill in my eyebrows. So to make a long story short, when I was around 7, I was hit in the face with a door, causing a cut on my eyebrow. This cut has made it so no hair grows in that section of brow, and I've spent more of my life with the scar than without it. From ages 14-18 I would fill my eyebrows in with anything I could find. Markers, eyeliner, eventually discovering there is makeup specifically for eyebrows. When I got to college I stopped caring so much because no one makes fun of you in college for a scar on your face, am I right? So anyways, I get a job working basically a front desk position, and had a lot of FaceTime with customers. I guess one of them didn't like the way my eyebrows look. Apparently it's an in thing to cut the hairs on your eyebrow into dashes, and told a manager I don't look professional. You can guess how that went. The manager tells me that I can't have an eyebrow slit in the same manner I can't have a face tattoo, and I reminded him that I was hired with my brows looking like this. I never mentioned it was because a scar, because it's not their business. So am I the asshole for refusing to fill in my brows? Or should I just suck it up and revert back to how I felt hiding my scar throughout high school? Edit. Thanks everyone. I feel validated in that I shouldn't have to feel bad about not wanting to cover my scar. I've decided that if this comes up again, I'll just tell them it's a scar and let them decide how to respond. I'm off to work now, and once again my brow isn't covered, so let's hope it ends in a good day. Posted BYU/Driver Intelligent. AITA for cutting my son's allowance and kicking him out because he broke the rules. I have 3 children and they all stay with me. The son, 20, in question lives out back in the pool house. I've always been against drugs, particularly weed. I hate the smell. It make me feel sick, so I told all my kid that if they want to use it, fine by me, but then they have to leave and get their own place. Now my son always had this rebellious streak and would smoke weed and blame it on the neighbor's son. I've caught him twice and both times he said he'd stop after denying it ferociously. Yesterday evening, I was reading my book outside when I smelled marijuana. Tried sniffing it out, but it seemed pretty well spread out, so I let it go and went inside. Through the window I saw my son come out from around one of the pool house's corners and go inside the pool house. Tried to let it go, but it got to the best of me, so I went to see what he was doing behind there. The smell instantly got stronger when I went around there, so I looked around and finally found a small pouch behind some bricks with marijuana inside. I confronted my son. He denied it as usual, so I told him I was cutting his allowance. If he's old enough to disregard my rules, then he's surely old enough to fund himself his own drug use. His girlfriend confessed on his behalf and said she'd make sure he stopped, or at least did it somewhere else, which I was going to accept, but then my son fought me on how ridiculous my fascist weed ban is. So I gave him a couple weeks to move out, then left. His girlfriend, yet again, was the only one who apologized afterwards and said he knows he was in the wrong, but I'm not changing my mind. AITA. Posted BYU/throwaway23907. AITA for refusing to make my son pay for the bras he damaged in full because I think they're too expensive. My stepdaughter, 25F, is staying with my 40M wife, 44F, and I temporarily. My son, 15M, stays with us every other week. He has online classes while the rest of us have to go to work, so he's alone at home for a good while. Last week he decided to make a video and used my stepdaughter's bras as props. He dyed them, cut them, and used them as slingshots, etc. She was extremely upset and said that they were practically unusable afterwards. Apparently she also uses high-end bras that cost $85 to $90 a piece. I can't wrap my head around that price tag. I know my wife doesn't spend more than $50 on a bra. However, he destroyed 5 bras, so that's about $450. I don't think that's a reasonable price to pay for just 5 bras. My son had $200 saved up and offered that, but she was still upset. My wife sided with her. I don't think making a 15-year-old who clearly can't afford $450 pay the whole thing is fair either. She can buy 5 cheaper bras for $200. Posted BYU/Weebalibble222. AITA for telling my sister that her daughter can't expect people to look out for her triggers. I am 32, had a small family dinner at my house last night with my parents, 2 siblings, and their children. My wife loves to cook, and since it was the first time we've seen family in months, she made a huge spread of food. My sister has 2 daughters, and her eldest daughter, 13, has an eating disorder. She's visibly very thin. She's always been a pretty thin kid, but it wasn't until this last year that she's gotten considerably thinner. At dinner my wife brought out all of the dishes with food, including one of my favorite dishes she makes. I was sat next to my niece and my wife passed me a dish. So naturally, I passed it on to my niece and I said something like, "This is my absolute favorite, you're gonna love it," or something to that effect. Well, later on my sister scolded me for apparently embarrassing my niece and pushing food onto her. She told me my comment was triggering because of her eating disorder, and for me to hand off a bunch of food to her in front of everyone upset her. I told my sister that if me saying a light-hearted comment like that and passing her a dish so that she can choose to pass it on is triggering, she can't expect people to know that and look out for her triggers. She has to do that herself. My sister thinks I was being insensitive, especially because she's only 13, and that I'm an asshole for not being extra sensitive since it's obvious that she has an eating disorder. AITA. Posted BYU/Zoomfy. AITA for telling my parents I should be able to enjoy my 2 weeks of summer vacation. I am 16, am a homeschooled high school student. I take year-round classes at a community college for college credits, so my high school classes count for college credit. Therefore, I have to get all A's to look good for colleges. I recently finished my college-level English and math classes a week ago. I finished those classes with a 4.0 GPA. With 2 weeks until new classes start up, I thought I could spend my summer like a normal kid. I asked my parents if I could play video games with my friends for this 2 weeks. Given that meeting IRL would put us all at risk. My parents don't think I should get 2 weeks to do fun things. They believe I should work even more and find academic activities that show me as a leader. I tried explaining to them this 2 weeks is the only break I will get for the whole year. I just want to spend it with my friends. I explained that I got very good grades and it should be okay to have a 2 WK break period. They insist that I should focus even more on school because everyone else is not doing work. They have no problem comparing me to other kids. So and so's kids do swim team, why can't you be like ______? So I tried saying that most parents would be proud of their kid getting good grades in hard courses. They responded by saying that it's their house and they can do whatever they want. So Reddit, AITA for wanting to take a break? Posted BYU/throwaway for A.10. AITA for chopping too much of my daughter's hair off? My daughter, 15, had really long hair that went past her waist. The ends of her hair were really unhealthy and needed to be cut off. She agreed to have about 6 inches cut off. When it came to cutting her hair, I realized she needed a lot more cut off, even though the hair wasn't unhealthy apart from the lower 2/3 inches. It was just time for fresh hair. As I started to cut her hair, I cut it up to her shoulder blades, way shorter than she wanted it. As she realized what I was doing, she blew up into a fit of rage, shouting at me saying, "What the hell am I doing, that we agreed on a certain length." She then started crying and refused to let me continue to cut. Her hair was all jagged and incomplete. One side was longer than the other. I told her, "How dare you shout at me like that," and my other children agreed with me that I didn't deserve to be shouted at like that. She continued hysterically crying and wouldn't stop all night. She's never had hair that short, so it's a big change for her, but she'll get used to it. She needed the cut desperately. She said that she didn't need it this short and it would have been fine having just 6 inches taken off. She was crying about how her hair was the only thing that gave her self-esteem and now it's all been taken away. My daughter also struggles with mental illness, so she can be very unstable. She has mid-functioning autism and severe anxiety. This was back in March at the beginning of lockdown, so we couldn't go to the hairdressers. I hope I've made myself clear and I will answer any questions. I want you all to know that I love all my children very much and would never intentionally be an a-hole to them, so if I am deemed one, I will learn from this. As of now, I think it was the correct decision as her hair really needed it. It was impossible to control. But now she won't trust me for anything I do or say. AITA. Like and subscribe.